Hello, I am going to walk you through the CRQ since we are not having a live class today. So feel free to watch this video. I'm going to read through the article and then just go over the resources that are provided. So today's article, the author Reggie Payne is a 16-year-old and he is a student at Richard Wright School of Journalism and Media Arts in Washington, D.C. Music as medicine is an idea that is insanely familiar to me. Middle school and the end of elementary school was a very rough and emotional time for me. I had a mentally ill father. After he threatened my mother's life, my mom took my brother and me to try and get away from him. The split up affected me heavily because it wasn't really a separation. My family was on the run from my dad. We hid away from him by living in various hotels and staying with neighbors. School became hard to keep up with. Every year I just lost more and more motivation, something that continues even now. Trying to let feelings out. I believe my lack of motivation with schoolwork was rooted deeply in the situation between my mom and dad. I was searching for a way to let my feelings out. I hated sports, so I could not turn to that. I always loved to doodle and draw a lot, but I recognized that I was not very good at it. I was strictly using art as a way to have fun at the time and did not take it seriously. Around 5th grade, I moved back to DC, and that was when I discovered my love for the magic of sound. I was drawn to hip hop and became a bit of a comedy rapper at school. It was fun and I enjoyed it. Hip hop and comedy helped me deal with the split up of my family, as well as the several failed attempts to reunite us. I knew that my father was abusing my mother. I also knew that my older brother hated my dad and that, as a result, my dad showed favoritism towards me. My father wanted me on his side and wanted to shape me to become someone I was not. Music was something new to me. I didn't care for it much as a baby, so throwing myself into it was a new feeling and I loved it. Rapping is fun and freeing. By the time I was in 7th grade, I was not bad. I wasn't a joke rapper anymore. My class knew I could rap and liked what I did. Rapping was a lot of fun and helped me connect with other kids that shared the same love for rap. Music allowed me to be me. Then my father was diagnosed with cancer. At first I didn't care, but I soon realized he might not be around much longer. I told my mom that I wanted us to get back with him because I wanted things to be the way they once were. Then I started thinking about the fact that this was the same man who tried to kidnap me and was so terrible to my brother and mother. I started to blame myself because things in my family seemed happier before I arrived, before I was born. It seemed like my coming into the picture threw everything off. Music and art saved me from all these worries. Coming into high school as a freshman was fun. I would prance with my afro and I was always talking about music and poetry and art because it was all I knew. That was what I loved and it kept me happy. My freshman year was also the year I played my very first instrument, the guitar. I had always wanted a guitar and I picked up on it relatively quickly. My acoustic guitar was a gift from a friend because my family could never afford to get one. Art and music are a pillow and blanket. I became known as the poetic Afro boy with the guitar. This label fits me so well. Music and art became one of the most important parts of my life. Unfortunately, this was also the year that my father passed away. The loss was very hard for me to deal with, even though I didn't show it. When he died, my family was living in yet another hotel with hardly any money. Throughout all those years on the run, money was always a problem. During the rough times, art was my pillow and music was the blanket that warmed me up. Playing instruments, writing songs, rapping, singing, and drawing and painting, doing all these creative things was what allowed me to deal with the problems I was facing at home. If I'm feeling down, I can get behind a piano or grab a guitar and get my music out, or get my feelings out through music. Or I can write a song or a poem about it. Music is my healer, and more importantly, a healer for many others. There are doctors who use music therapy as a form of medicine. You don't have to be a doctor to use music that way, because music and art are natural medicines for minds and souls. Anybody can reach these medicines and experience the sweet healing they can perform. I am simply just one of the many souls that have been touched by the magical thing known as art. So that is our article for today. And then all of your resources that you're going to need are right here below it, walking you through step by step. So first sentence, we want to restate and answer the question. So the question is, what does the author of the article use music for? In what ways has it helped him? Do you believe it's really possible for music to heal? Explain why or why not. So focusing on that first question, what does the author of the article use music for? And then even looking at that second question, in what ways has it helped him? Then you have some samples, ideas for your first sentence. The author of the article uses music to blank, or music helps the author of the article by blank. And then our next two sentences are going to be evidence. So remember, we always want to cite two quotes from the article. So you're going to use a sentence starter. You have quite a few to pick from here. And then you're going to go back up through the article and find some evidence that backs up whatever you said in the first sentence. After you've cited your evidence, this slide right here is just talking about how it needs to be a direct quote. It needs to be word for word from the text. It needs to be inside quotation marks. There's an example here showing you what it would look like with the comma, the quotation marks, word for word from the text, and then an end quotation. And you want to make sure the quote makes sense. So the quote needs to support whatever you've said in that first sentence. And then for the fourth sentence, this is going to be your opinion, your thoughts. So looking at that last question there, do you believe it's really possible for music to heal? Explain why or why not. So you're going to answer that question. And remember, this is your opinion. So everyone's answer is going to be different. So do you believe it's really possible for music to heal? Yes, and then tell me why. Or, no, it's not possible, and tell me why not. And then last sentence, we're going to explain the evidence. So the evidence that you just gave, how does that prove your answer? And you have some examples for sentence starters that you can use. So the order of the CRQ, first sentence, you're restating and answering that question, which remember the question is, what does the author of the article use music for? And in what ways has it helped him? So restate and answer. And then second sentence is that first quote. Third sentence is that second quote. Fourth is your opinion. So remember, your opinion was, do you believe it's possible for music to heal? Yes or no, why or why not? And then, that very last sentence is where you're explaining the evidence. You're wrapping things up. So right here, you're explaining it. How does that prove your answer? And then make sure you are proofreading before you are submitting. Should be at least 5 sentences, should be a complete paragraph, checking for spelling and grammar errors, making sure we're capitalizing the first word of a sentence, capitalizing those I's. And then that is it. You'll put your answer right here and go ahead and submit it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me.